Hey guys, how's it going? Today I wanted to talk about something that's a little bit difficult to talk about, but it's about time and how we are affected by it through the year, through the days, through aging. Is it like something that has been invented by man, or is it something that is actually happening really around us and that we can't change and that we can't do anything about? Well, time is a very, very complicated subject. It is something that we have decided to calculate according to the rotation of the Earth, which takes 365 days, which we call a year. And we set our clocks by a 24-hour, 60-minute per hour time frame, and that's according to the sun and how it sets and how it's basically affecting the day and night of our days. So it's strange to say, but basically we know more or less that at a specific time, after a certain number of rotations, after a certain number of years, we are teenagers, we are kids, we are adults, we are middle-aged, we are elderly. And because it's pretty constant, and obviously centuries and centuries of people have lived in the past, you are able to kind of determine more or less for each individual when and how things will happen and how we will deteriorate and how we will eventually be able to know if we're an adult, if we're actually able to think properly without being too much of a kid and rationalizing things properly. And of course through science they're able to determine how long people are able to live and when their brain is fully formed, and more or less on an average age, on an average determined amount of time. So yeah, it is man-made. Time is man-made, but at the same time we have a certain type of biological clock for us humans, for ants, for rabbits, for dogs, for cats. We all have a certain type of biological clock that determines how long we're going to live and how long we're going to be young and how long we're going to be kids and adults and teenagers, etc. So yes, time has been created by man, but it has also been determined by how our body evolves and how the universe is basically changing days and nights and cold and winter and summer and all that stuff. So it can't be completely the imagination. It's in sort of way we are evolving in the universe, and we are affected by the different things that are happening in our surroundings that is creating us to think and do things and to evolve within that particular universe. And maybe if there's something beyond the universe, then that's affecting our universe completely also, but we don't really know. We haven't been able to see far enough in order to know if there's something beyond the universe. But definitely time is a constant, and it's also not a constant in a way, which is kind of weird, because when you see stars, for example, it's sometimes stars that have already died, and sometimes you're basically, when they say light years and stuff like that, it's the amount of years that it has taken for that light to arrive to this earth. So if they say that a planet is 7 light years away, basically you're seeing an image projected of that planet from 7 years ago, which is finally arriving here, because the maximum speed that any object can travel at is the speed of light, basically. And if anything did travel faster than that, there would be a paradox, basically. And that's why they're saying that basically you could have wormholes that could create basically kind of passages, shortcuts for light to travel into another place of the universe faster than it would have traveled. But at the same time, that constant isn't changing because it's still remaining the same speed. You're basically still going at the speed of light. You're just going through a wormhole, which basically is pretty confusing. So if you really did want to travel back into the past, you'd have to be able to basically, like kind of like a paper, take the universe and bend it, and then you'd be able to go from one point to another without actually traveling all that distance. So it's really interesting, but basically we are light in some way because we used to be part of stars, and when we die and when we're born and all that stuff, we become part of the earth. And if, let's say, this earth were to explode, or if there was some sort of catastrophe, then it would go through space and it would create asteroids, and the asteroids would have material on it which would end up or not eventually on some other rocky planet, and if the circumstances are correct, would create life. So at the same time, what's kind of interesting is that we have traveled way further, and at the same time, even though we didn't have the same consciousness that we have now as human beings, we basically had at least particles and materials that basically existed for centuries and centuries, and that will still exist even after our death, which is kind of pretty cool. It gets recycled, re-eaten, and we become parts of other creatures, other elements, other things, and that's how things change. So yeah, it's a very complicated subject, but I'll say this, is that even though time is man-made, it is a way for us to calculate how we are traveling through the time and of our earth, at least, and able to determine how the world has been evolving and how to better acclimate ourselves and prepare ourselves for our aging and our succession and a lot of things. So yeah, I don't know if I really answered your guys' question, but basically time is real and it's not real. It's two things at the same time, which is kind of interesting. And also at the same time, basically, if you decide you want to, let's say, be a kid for one day, you can be a kid for one day. Nothing's stopping you, you know? So a lot of it is in your head. Yeah, that's all I have to say on the subject. Have a great day. Bye.